What if I told you that the idea of the United States annexing Canada isn't new? In fact, it's been imagined, debated, and even attempted for over 200 years. From the War of 1812 to modern-day political jabs, the idea of a united North America has never fully disappeared. Today, we'll explore this strange and persistent idea, from history's wildest attempts to the shocking 2025 statement by Donald Trump. And we'll end with Canada's official response. Buckle up. Let's go back to the early 1800s. At the time, the United States was a young and ambitious nation. The War of 1812, fought between the U.S. and the British Empire, was one of the first moments where American leaders eyed Canada as a potential prize. President James Madison believed that Americans would be welcomed as liberators in Canada. That didn't happen. Canadian resistance was strong, and the invasion failed. Still, the dream lingered. Throughout the 19th century, expansionist politicians, especially among the Democrats, called for the U.S. to annex all of British North America. Some even wanted to rename Canada the Northern States. Fast forward to the 1860s. During and after the American Civil War, some U.S. leaders saw Canada as vulnerable. Pro-Union newspapers floated the idea of using Canadian land as a bargaining chip with Britain, or even punishing them for supporting the Confederacy. And then there were the Fenians, Irish-American militants who launched raids into Canada in hopes of forcing Britain to grant Irish independence. While unofficial, they had some quiet sympathy in U.S. political circles. By the 20th century, things changed. The idea of annexation faded as Canada developed its own national identity. The U.S. and Canada became allies, trading partners, and eventually NATO members. But every now and then, the idea would reappear, often as satire or in fringe political groups. Books, articles, even maps occasionally imagined a United States of North America, but nothing serious. Then came 2025. Former President Donald Trump, campaigning for another White House term, was asked about America's economic challenges. His response? Unexpected. Canada has more land, more resources, and honestly, more potential than people realize. I've said it before, we should have had Canada a long time ago. You look at the map, it just makes sense. It wasn't an official policy, but the comment went viral. Supporters called it classic Trump. Critics called it reckless. Some even feared it could strain diplomatic ties. How did Canada react? Days later, newly elected Prime Minister Nathaniel Fraser met with Trump at the White House. When asked about annexation, he smiled. Fraser, Canada is proud of its independence, history, and friendship with the United States. While our countries share deep bonds, we are and always will be sovereign. A firm, polite rejection. Diplomats from both sides confirmed there was no real annexation plan, but the story stayed in the news for days. Legally, not without the full consent of Canadians, through a national referendum and constitutional reform. Politically, it's nearly impossible. Canadians value their health care, parliamentary system, and cultural identity. Economically, the two countries are deeply integrated already. Annexation isn't needed for partnership, but the idea that still captures imagination. From wars to political comments, the idea of annexing Canada has lived many lives. But today it remains what it has mostly been. A fantasy wrapped in history and stirred by controversy. And here's a question for you. Do you think the U.S. and Canada could ever unite under one government? Or is that just a fantasy best left to history books? If you know the answer, hit that like button and comment below, and subscribe for more stories that challenge what you think you know. Thanks for watching.